Hello everyone, welcome to Lukmaan IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu newspaper analysis dated 6th of August 2023. In today's newspaper analysis, we are going to cover some of the important articles from frequently asked question FAQ section, and also we are going to cover some important editorial topics and also some important topics from the mains and prelims point of view. Okay, so you need to attend the newspaper analysis on a regular basis so that you stay updated with the recent happenings, right, on the issues that are going on for a long time. So with this, let us start the discussion now. So we are going to cover many important articles in today's discussion. So these are the list of articles that we are going to discuss. Here the name of the topics, their relevance, and also page number is mentioned. Apart from this, we have few more topics, okay, that we are going to cover. So in all, we are going to cover about 11 topics today. So let us start the discussion of the newspaper now. This is the first topic that we are going to discuss in detail. This is from the FAQ section, right? On Sunday, the Hindu comes up with FAQ section. On other days, they come up with editorial section. And in this FAQ section, they have discussed in detail about some of the provisions of the Digital Personal Data Protection Bill 2023. So this FAQ section deals with Data Protection Bill of 2023. So we are going to understand about it in detail, and this topic, right, this topic's relevance with the syllabus is mentioned over here. Okay, so these are the areas with which this topic is related. So you need to also understand this part as well, because it is going to help you to prepare for the mains exam in a proper manner. So with this, let us start this topic. So name of the topic is it says what is the, okay, name of the topic is what is the Data Protection Bill of 2023. What is the Data Protection Bill of 2023. So in this article, we are going to discuss in detail what is Data Protection Bill. We are going to talk about when this bill was introduced for the first time, what happened after then, and what is the recent version of the bill. And also we are going to talk about many concepts that are related to the data protection law, right? So if I talk about story so far, means what has happened, right, with this bill so far. This story so far. Talk about the Digital Personal Data Protection Bill. It was introduced for the first time in 2017. Okay, it was introduced for the first time in 2017. So in 2017, a draft bill has been, let's say, released by Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, right? So since then, I mean, in 2017, there was a judgment that was known as Putta Swamy, okay, Putta Swamy judgment of the Supreme Court of India. So in this Putta Swamy judgment of the Supreme Court of India, they have discussed in detail about the right to privacy, okay, right to privacy of citizens. They have discussed about right to privacy of citizens, in this judgment. So this judgment was given by the Supreme Court of India, right? So initially the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology came up, right, with a bill that was known as Data Protection Bill. Okay, it was known as Data Protection Bill. That was the initial version of this particular bill, Data Protection Bill. Year of 2021. Okay, Data Protection Bill was introduced in the year of 2021. And they have asked for, let's say, inputs from the public, and public at large have given input, right, related to this bill. And there were many criticism of the, let's say, this particular initial data protection that they have introduced. And so to look into those criticism, the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, what they have done, they have withdrawn that bill. Okay, they have withdrawn that bill, citing like, there were many privacy concerns associated with that bill, okay, the initial bill. So after this, they have come up with another version of the bill that was like, personal data protection bill, that was known as personal, or if I talk about this bill, this is known as digital personal data protection bill, okay, it is known as digital personal data protection bill. This bill is known as digital personal data protection bill. In short, it is known as digital personal data protection bill, okay, 2023. So this is the bill. I mean, like, initially it was introduced in 2021 because of wider criticism. They have withdrawn that bill, and then they came up with, let's say, another draft in 2022, and they have opened that draft for public consultation. And like, after receiving lot of, inputs from the public, they did not reveal like what inputs they have received from the public. And there was a RTI application also. There was a right to information. So there was an RTI application, and in that RTI application, people have asked, right, the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology to reveal, right, the modified version of the data protection bill. However, they did not share the modified version with the public at large. Recently, it has been, let's say, like, it has been introduced in the parliament, and in the parliament, what they have done, it has been passed through the Lok Sabha, this digital personal data protection bill. So this is about this bill. And now if we talk about some of the provisions of this bill, there are many concepts that are associated with this bill. We are going to understand about that concept. Okay, so let's discuss about those concepts in detail. And these concepts are most important for prelims and mains examination. This digital personal data protection bill categorizes, let's say, like, stakeholders into different parts. One of the part is, they say, some principle, okay, data principle. Who are data principals? Data principals are citizens like me and you, right? So we are data principals, means like our data will be used, okay? So the citizens, right? Citizens or data principals. Apart from this, there is another terminology which is known as data fiduciary, okay? It is known as data. So in short, it is DF, data principal, in short, DP, right? So data fiduciary, who are data fiduciary? So all those companies, right? All those companies and organizations, right? Companies, or let's say organizations, or government entities, okay? Or government entities. So they will be categorized as data fiduciary, okay? They will be categorized as data fiduciary. What is the role of data fiduciary? These data fiduciaries will be using the data, right? They will be using the personal data of users, okay? They will be using personal data of users. Now here there is a catch. What is that catch? Like, in the initial version of the data protection bill that was released in 2021, in that initial version of the data protection that was released in 2021, there was a classification of, two classification of data. There were two classification of data. There were classification of data. So what was the classification of data? One of the kind of data was known as personal data. Okay, one of the kind of data was known as personal data. Other kind of data was known as sensitive personal data. Okay, sensitive personal data. So sensitive personal data are those data that have, like, very minute details about an individual, like, their address, their biometric information, their health related information. So they are considered to be sensitive personal data. However, if I talk about the 2023 bill, which is known as Digital Personal Data Protection Bill, okay, Digital Personal Data Protection Bill 2023. this does not have any classification like this, okay, personal data or sensitive personal data. So they do not have any classification. They have classified data principal are those people, right, whose data is being used by the data fiduciary, okay. So in the digital personal data protection bill, what they have done is, like, they have they have done 2-3 things. One of the thing is, let's say, like, all those people who are data principals, okay, data principals. So generally in the previous bill, right, they have protected the data of the data principal, but in this bill they, like, one thing is like the protect. We will discuss about how they protect, and also they give duty and penalties are also mentioned for data principals. For example, we as users, right? So for us there are duties also, right, and there are penalties as well. What are the duties that they have said? They have said that, like, duty is, let's say, like, if this data principal, if they share some data with companies, okay, if they share data with companies, okay, data with companies, in that case what they can do, the data principal may ask for, right, may ask for, let's say, data update. They can ask for data update, or modification, right, update or modification means same, right, update or modification, or they can also ask for deletion of data, okay, they can ask for deletion of data from the data fiduciary. Apart from this, the data principal, like people like me and you, we have been given responsibility that, like, if we want that we have some grievances, right, we can file a complaint against, let's say, data fiduciary, okay. So we can file complaint against data fiduciary, complaint against data fiduciary, right, and they want to, let's say, create a board, that is, data protection board. So DPB, they want to create data protection board, okay, at all India level board. So we can file a complaint against the data fiduciary and data protection board. However, if this complaint is, let's say, like, frivolous, or, like, this complaint has something malified intent and all, so data principal can be applied some penalty. So they have mentioned a provision of about 10,000 rupees penalty, right, against, like, these data principals, against, like, users like me and you, okay. So these are the things that are related to data principals. And if I talk about data fiduciary, okay, so let's discuss about data fiduciary. Data fiduciary means the companies, right, DF, the companies that are using the users data. What they have to do, these companies have to, right, one, they have to disclose, right, they have to disclose to public, like, what data they need, okay, and, like, the utilization of this data, means, like, for what purpose they need this data, okay, for what purpose they need this data. And in case of breach of data, okay, breach of data, they need to notify, okay, they need to notify the data principals about any breach of data, okay. And this digital personal data protection bill, digital personal data protection bill 2023, it also says that, like, if there is a breach of data, if there is a violation by data fiduciary, okay, in case of violation by data fiduciaries, in that case a penalty of about rupees 250 crore can be applied on data fiduciaries. Apart from this, these data fiduciaries, what they can do, they can, like, let's say, data fiduciary, this data fiduciary, it is company A, and if you share this data, right, data fiduciary with company B, in that case, right, they have to notify it about it to the data personal, okay, data principal, about it. Okay, this is the thing. And also here the governments, right, if I talk about the governments, right, government and its entities, right, so it also makes a provision that data fiduciary should share the data with the government, right, and its entities whenever it is asked, okay, and its entities whenever it is asked. And for that thing, right, they do not need to disclose any information to data principals, okay. This is the thing. So this particular digital personal data protection bill does many things. On one side, right, the users are also, held liable, let's say, like, for like if they want to file a complaint, in that case, like, there can be penalty on the data principals also. This is what is said over here, right? So this data protection bill, this digital personal data protection bill imposes penalties also. It imposes penalties also on this thing, right, on data principles. And also it has some exemption categories, okay. It has some exemption categories. Now if I talk about, right, data breach related issues, data breach related issues. So during COVID, right, Government of India had a portal which is known as CoWIN. Its data was made public in Telegram, okay. Its data was made public in Telegram, means this data has been breached, right. Apart from this, the State Bank of India, about 10,000 users, right, 10,000 users or 12,000 confidential records of State Bank of India, like, employees, right, SBI employees, there were around 12,000 SBI employees whose data have been leaked in Telegram, right. So these things has happened. However, right, it does not prescribe much, right, like, much liability about the government. If some data breach is happening from the side of the government, this data protection bill does not prescribe any penalty for the government, okay. It does not prescribe any penalty for the government, okay. And it also exempts, what it does, the bill exempts government authorities as notified, marking a discernible expansion of the scope of exemption, okay. So like, it exempts the government from many things, exempts the government. And also, what does it seek to amend, okay. So like this digital personal data protection, it also seeks to amend, right, it seeks to amend section 43A, right, if I am not wrong, it seeks to amend section 43A of the IT Act, right, section 43A of the Information Technology Act 2000, okay, of the IT Act 2000. And this section 43A of the IT Act, this section was very, very important, because this section, right, so this section used to impose an obligation on the corporates to award damages to the affected persons in case of like negligent handling of their sensitive data. However, you are understanding this section 43A of the IT Act, it prescribes that, like, damage or reparation has to be paid, okay. Means like, for if data breach happens, right, because of negligence of the company people, in that case they have to, let's say, pay for damages to data principal, okay. It was there in the IT Act, right, pay for damages to the data principal. However, like this particular digital personal data protection bill, right, it seeks to amend this section 43A of the IT Act. And now what it says, right, after amending, what it says, like, it gives exemption, right. It says, now rendering an individual who has suffered breach of their data without any relief, okay. Now if data breach happens, so like, the data principals has no relief, right, they have no relief under it. This is the thing. So it is very important for us to understand this thing. So it says, does it protect users? So it's like when we talk about this question whether it protects the users, so that answer can be answered from here, right? Because this data fiduciary, okay, if I talk about the data fiduciary, they have a responsibility of let's say they have a responsibility of notifying the user in case any data breach happens, right? So this is the thing. So you need to go to this particular thing. There are many provisions that are mentioned in this article. They have mentioned clauses like clause 44. They have also mentioned the IT Act, right? They have mentioned the RTI Act, that like it widens the scope of this particular Digital Personal Data Protection Bill, what it does, it widens the scope of exemptions, okay, widens the scope of exemptions for the government, If I talk about the RTI Act, Right to Information Act, right, in RTI Act, Section 8, right, Clause 1, Clause J, so there were certain sections that used to give exemptions, right, exemptions to government for certain category of data for which, like, the public information officials do not have to share the information with the public at large. And this Digital Personal Data Protection Bill, what it does, it widens the scope of exemptions by saying, right, by saying that, like, all those information that, right, anyone who is seeking information which constitutes personal information, right, which constitute personal information. So these information may be denied by a public information official, okay, by a public information official. So these are the things that are related to this topic. In your free time, you can read this article also to understand about these clauses that are mentioned. This is a very, very good, let's say, written article. It says, this bill proposes to exempt government authorities from adhering to the law on 5 counts, okay. So they have mentioned on all the 5 grounds, okay. So these grounds have been mentioned. Apart from this, like, we are going to look into another topic. This topic is also very, very important. Why? Because here, like, you might be knowing that now war is happening between Ukraine, okay, between Ukraine and Russia. Ukraine and Russia. So it says Ukrainian drone hit Russia, another sea attack. Okay, so there was another sea attack, like Ukrainian drone. One of the Ukrainian drone has attacked, right? Attacked a ship of Russia. Okay, so Russian ship has been attacked. So it says our sea drone filled with 450 kg of TNT was used in latest strike against Russian forces on Friday. So this is just an update related to it. I mean, like, we are not going to go into detail about it because they have mentioned how the attack has happened, who has taken responsibility, which officer has, talked about that this, attack has happened. So basically, like, Ukrainian government has Ukraine's security service, and that security service has taken the responsibility of this attack. That, like, we have conducted this attack against Russia. So this is the thing. So related to this topic, I mean, we have discussed earlier also many topics related to it. Multiple issues have been discussed. Black Sea related thing have been discussed, and this thing also happened in the Black Sea region, right? So you need to look into the map of Black Sea to learn more about it. So here we are going to understand about one question. It says the international community, the NATO, has been unsuccessful in ensuring multilateral security transparency mechanism concerning the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Analyze. So you need to write this answer in about 150 words. Evaluation at lukmaanias.com. Okay. Evaluation at lukmaanias.com. And we are going to evaluate your answer and share our feedback with you. Okay. So with this, we will move to the next topic quickly. Now this topic is also very, very important. So like today we are discussing the newspaper of Sunday, right? So there they discussed about Rohini panel. It says, why are Rohini panels finding important? So we are going to understand about what is Rohini panel all about. So this topic is relevant under GS paper 2 of the mains exam, Because in this article, we are going to discuss about one panel that was headed by Rohini, Justice Rohini, okay. So she has, let's say, she was the chairperson of a commission that was looking into the affair of sub-categorization of the other backward classes groups, okay. So we are going to discuss about it. This topic says, why are Rohini panels finding important? Why are Rohini panels finding important? Let's understand about what is this panel was all about. So this was a panel that looked into the affair of sub-categorization, okay? Sub-categorization of other backward classes. So as we know that, like, the other backward classes, which is known as OBCs, they are given a reservation of 27% in government jobs, right? In government jobs, and right, they're given 27% reservation in jobs and education, in educational institutions, right? They're given this thing. And this Rohini panel, the government of India has constituted Rohini panel in the year of 2017. And in the year of 2017, this Rohini panel was given a task that you look into the subcategorization of OBC. Means in the other backward classes, right, there are many very small categories, right, lot of categories under this. There are many castes that are listed, and like among these castes, the government has mandated this Rohini panel that, like, you identify, let's say, like there are 100 such castes that are part of other backward classes. So from those 100, let's say, list, which are those castes that are receiving, let's say, like, more benefit, that are receiving more benefit and that are receiving less benefit, okay, that are receiving more benefit and that are receiving less benefit, so that the government of India can come up, okay, so that they can come up with some other policy measures related to it. They can come up with some other policy measures related to it. So this is the thing. So this panel has been constituted in 2017. They were initially given a time of 12 weeks, okay, 12 weeks. However, right, they have been granted 14 extensions. How many extensions? 14 extensions. So this 12-week extended to 6 years, right? This 12-week extended to 6 years. And now this Rohini panel, Justice Rohini panel, submitted a report, right, to the President of India, okay, submitted the report to the President of India on 31st July 2023, right, on 2023. Now, why this Rohini panel's, let's say, report or finding is important? Because this Rohini panel finding is going to shed, let's say, like, shed light. It's going to, let's say, enlighten us about the subcategorization of other backward classes, and also, like, within other backward classes, which are those dominant sections that are receiving more reservation benefits. You might be knowing that reservation is extended, right, under Article 16 of the Constitution of India. Okay, Article 16 of the Constitution of India says that, like, there should not be any discrimination in government jobs, right, in government jobs, and only, like, only in matters of only, let's say, based on education, sex, right, place of birth, or caste, religion, etc. Right? It also allows, like, for let's say, some steps by the government, which is known as affirmative action. Okay, it is known as affirmative action. So government of India can take affirmative action. Affirmative action means it can give reservation, right, to certain sections of the population. Okay, so this is related to that. You read about it in your free time, and you will be able to, let's say, answer some questions if comes in the prelims or mains exam. So we have another question for you. You need to write this answer and share with us, right, on the same email ID. It says, why are Rohini panels finding important? Critically examine the recommendation of Rohini Commission on sub-categorization of OBC reservation. You need to answer this question in about 150 words. So with this, let us move to the next topic. Now this topic is also very important. This is important from environment and ecology section. You know, many topics are coming nowadays from environment and ecology section. And in many cases, you need to remember the IUCN status of the species that are in news. So in this case, like, you know, the species that is in news is clouded leopard. Okay. So you can see this is the image of clouded leopard. So what is the IUCN status of clouded leopard? The IUCN status of clouded leopard is vulnerable. Okay. Its IUCN status is vulnerable. So I am just writing it for you, vulnerable, under IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature. Okay. So what is the scientific name of, let's say, clouded leopard? It is Neophelis, right? Neophelis DRD. Okay, its scientific name is Neophelis DRD. So this is what is important in this article. Apart from this, in this article, they have also discussed about one tiger reserve, which is known as Manas Tiger Reserve. Okay, here they have discussed that Manas National Park and Tiger Reserve seems to play a mysterious game, right? So these clouded leopards, I mean, like, they do not have any pattern that, like, you know, on this time they are going to visit here, they are not going to visit here, like that. They do not follow any pattern. Whatever they feel like, you know, good for themselves, they do it. I mean, like, you know, there has not been any pattern that they go here, they don't go here, like that. So that's why the article has been written as clouded leopards play hide and seek in woods, right? So this has been, let's say, told by Wildlife Institute of India. So two scientists from Wildlife Institute of India has found that that Assam's Manas Tiger National Park and Tiger Reserve seems to play a mysterious game of hide and seek in the tropical canopy forest. Okay, so this is this is, like, you know, mainland clouded leopard. It is Neophelis nebulas. Okay, so these are let's say, like, name Neophelis nebulas, and other is known as Neophelis DRD. Okay, so what is important for us to remember the IUCN status of clouded leopard. Okay, so like this was the recent thing that, like, you know, they do not have any pattern of stay like in wildlife. So that's why it has come. So let's understand about these clouded. So where do we find these clouded leopards? We find clouded leopards in many places, right? In many places, and generally they are found, let's say, like in northeastern India, like Assam. They are found in Bhutan, Nepal, and all the red, you know, red shown zones has population of clouded leopards. So with this, we came to another topic. Okay, This topic is also very important. It says Chandrayaan-3 in lunar orbit, right? So we all know that the Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO, has launched Chandrayaan-3 mission right on 14th of July. And since 14th of July, I mean, like, you know, ISRO has done many maneuvers, means like it has, let's say, like, molded the path of Chandrayaan-3 so that this Chandrayaan-3 mission can be sent from Earth to the moon, right? Now recently they have also done another maneuver, and this maneuver is known as lunar orbit insertion. Okay, what they have done? They have done lunar orbit insertion of Chandrayaan-3. So Chandrayaan-3 has entered into the orbit of the moon. It has entered into the orbit of the moon. So which organization of the Indian Space Research Organization has done it? It was done by one particular center of the ISRO, which is known as ISRO Telemetry Tracking and Command Network. Okay, in short, it is known as ICE Track in Bengaluru. So they have done it, and after doing this, they have just, like, you know, told about it through Twitter. So earlier Twitter was the name. Now Elon Musk has changed it. Now Twitter is renamed as X. Okay, Twitter is renamed as X. So this is the thing. So what they have done a maneuver, and slowly and gradually they are going to, let's say, change the orbit of the Chandrayaan-3 so that, like, it can be brought very near to the surface of the moon. So they want to bring it, you know, near to 100 kilometer, right? 100 kilometer to the surface of the moon. So they want to insert this particular thing at this orbit. So that's why it was in news, right? This will go to the next topic now. Now this topic is related to health and the syllabus part is mentioned over here. So let us understand this topic. It says organ shortage continues to cost lives. Okay, organ shortage continues to cost lives. So now this topic is related to organ donation. And in India, we have around 3 lakh people who are waiting for an organ to be donated to them so that they can get the organ transplant and they can start living a healthy life. However, donor, let's say those people who are recipient. So there are huge number of people who are waiting for receiving a donated, let's say, organ. And on the other hand, those people who are willing to donate, right, the organ is very less in India, right? So 80% of the people who are let's say let's say there are 3 lakh person who are waiting for organs to be donated and only 16,000 people who are willing to give their let's say organ. And so only those people who are willing to give their organ, out of them 85% are living people. And other, let's say only 15% of the people, let's say who have initially consented that we want to donate our organ, it is very less. Okay, so now the government of India and many organizations, right, who are working in the organ donation related activities, they say that public awareness is important. Public should be made aware, right, that organ donation is a noble cause. And at the same time, they have also said that an awareness is required among ICU doctors and families on how one donor can save many lives. And here in this article, they have discussed about cadaver. Okay, this is known as cadaver donation. Okay, cadaver donation. Write the spelling CADAVER. Okay, cadaver. So what do we mean by cadaver donation? Cadaver donation means once a person dies, right, his organs will be used for let's say those people who are in need of receiving organs, right, cadaver donation. So initially when a person is living, in that case his, let's say, consent is needed, right, his consent is needed. And also family members of the deceased person can approve, right, cadaver donation. And this cadaver donation has a huge possibility of saving those people who are in need of organ donation. So in this article they have mentioned about the data, how many people are waiting for receiving the organ, how many people are willing to give it, and why organ donation rate is so less in India. So they have discussed all these parameters. So in your free time, you can read this article to understand this well. So with this, we will move to the next topic. This is again a very, very important topic. This is related to science and technology. This topic is important under science and technology. So let's understand this topic. It says in TB detection, smear's microscopy share still holds sway. Okay. According to the WHO Global TB Report 2022, over 40% of people with TB across the world were not diagnosed in 2021. In India, large number of people with TB were not diagnosed even prior to the pandemic. Okay. So now we need to understand that there are, let's say, targets, global targets and targets that India has set for itself, that we want to diagnose all those people who have TB, and after diagnosing we want to, let's say, give medication. After giving, we want to make sure that these people are getting cured from TB, right? So in this article they have mentioned that there was a World Bank report, World Health Organization report, which is known as Global TB report. Okay, so WHO has come up with a report. This is known as Global TB report. Okay, Global TB report 2022. This Global TB report 2022 says that 40% of the people with TB across the world were not diagnosed. Okay, they did not know that they have TB. This is one thing. And apart from this, in India also, large number of people were not diagnosed with TB. So in this article they have discussed about, let's say, eliminate TB strategy. So government of India had taken a target for itself, right, to eliminate TB from India by the year of 2025. So this is known as National Strategic Plan for TB Elimination. Okay, so we have a plan which is known as National strategic plan for TB elimination. Okay, national strategic plan for TB elimination. TB means tuberculosis. Okay, TB elimination. And we have adopted this plan. We wanted to execute this plan from 2017 to 2025. Okay, national strategy plan for TB elimination. And also government of India has another plan, right? Another plan which is known as national strategic plan for TB elimination. So we have another plan. So I'm going to just talk about the name of this plan, because that is also very, very important, and we want to reduce the incidence of TB from India, right? So National TB Prevalence Survey. So we have conducted a National TB Prevalence Survey in 2019-20, and that report said nearly 64% did not get tested for TB. And for treatment of TB, there we have a regimen. Okay, earlier, let's say, like, if a person is diagnosed with TB, he had to go for medication for about 18 months, right? A person who was diagnosed with TB, he had to go for, like, if we talk about conventional treatment, right? If we talk about conventional treatment, so in that case, a person had to go for 18 months of, let's say, like 18 months of this treatment thing, and they had to, let's say, take capsules, right? More than 4,300 capsules, and everyday dosage of capsule was very high. However, right, this is known as BPAL regimen. In BPAL regimen, what they, right, three kinds of tablets. One is known as bedaquiline. Okay, one of the tablet is known as bedaquiline for the treatment of TB. Other is known as pretomanid. Okay, pretomanid. Other is known as pretomanid. And the third one is known as linezolid. Okay, linezolid. Linezolid. Okay, this is known as linezolid. So this linezolid, I mean, like, these three medicines together, so they require less. Okay, they require lesser number of tablets for patients, and also for a lesser period. Okay, so within a so it includes 6 months of dosage. Okay, 6 months of dosage, and it showcases an efficacy of greater than 85%. Okay, greater than 85%. In case of conventional treatment, so that efficacy was about 60%, with, let's say, like, very extreme amount of, let's say, care, means like when regular tablets are being given to people. Okay, so that was the case, and here they have just talked about that, like, that lesser number of diagnoses is happening across the world and in India. They have discussed that, like, even like we have a microscope, like, this is used for diagnosis. However, it is also not being used properly, right, for diagnosis. That's the thing. Then we have these short topics. These are science and tech related topics. Once again, it says enzyme identified as potential anti-diabetic target. Okay. So you know that diabetes is one lifestyle related disease, right, that affects many people. So that it says the host derived DPP4 is an important therapeutic target for type 2 diabetes. Okay, so what type of diabetes we are talking about? Type 2 diabetes. For type 2 diabetes, what we want to use? DPP4 for curing, right, type 2 diabetes management. So gut microbacteria may contribute to DPP4 like activity in host, but was not known which gut bacteria produces DPP4 isozymes, or what effects microbiota derived DPP4 may have on host health. Researchers developed a platform to investigate microbial host enzyme from human and mucous microbiota and identified DPP4, which was expressed by scientific, bacterios species. Okay, so this is the thing. So this will be used, like, this can be used for treatment of diabetes. That's the thing. So you need to remember this. Okay, this enzyme has been identified, right, in some bacteroid species. Okay, so this has not been identified from humans, right? Because they do not know which like enzyme produces it. So with this, we have another topic. It says tropical trees of the same species grow farther apart. Now, this is an important finding from environment and ecology section, okay, from environment and ecology. Let's say in tropical regions are those places, right? Tropical regions are those places where we have more temperature, okay, tropical region. So, if you see the world map, in the world map, all those places that have high temperature, okay, that have high temperature, right, are considered to be tropical regions, okay, are considered to be tropical regions. So in tropical regions, let's say like, there are trees or plants. So same type of plant, they are found, right, that like, they grow far apart from one another, okay, they grow far apart. Means like same type of plant do not grow together if let's see dispersal happens. So this has been recently identified. And what is the utility of this identification? It says that since same trees grow far apart from one another, it gives places for other trees. It gives, let's say, place for other, other type of tree to grow nearby. Okay, so that's the thing. So that's why in tropical regions we have more biodiversity. We have more diversity of tree species, right? We have more diversity of the plant species. So this is just one information that is given through this article. So I mean, like, it may be asked in the prelims exam, but like it is good to know this. Then we have another topic. This topic is also very important. It says the enigmatic Indian eagle owl. Okay, so they have mentioned about one this Indian eagle owl. So the Indian eagle owls do not have a dependency on forest. They nest near agricultural lands and suburbs. So they have just mentioned about it. So you need to identify what is the IUCN status of this Indian eagle owl. Okay, so this topic has been in news. So I had just thought of, let's say, covering this. There is not much to learn about it. Okay, so they have talked about where they are found, where they are not found. So that is not needed. Then apart from this, we have another topic. This topic is important because recently the President of India has met with mahots. Mahots means those people who take care of the elephants, right? So recently two mahots, one of the name of the mahot is Bomman and other is Belly. So these are human beings who take care of the elephants. So they have alleged exploitation by documentary maker. So these two mahots have, let's say, helped in making of a documentary on elephants. This is known as the elephant. This is known as the elephant, right? Whisperers. This is known as the elephant whisperers. Okay. So this documentary was made recently, and this documentary has won Oscar awards. Okay, it has won Oscar awards. And these mahots were not, let's say, like paid the remuneration that was initially promised by the Oscar winning, right? Oscar winning filmmakers. So that's why it has been mentioned. Okay. So it is important that we remember the name of this thing, the Elephant Whisperers. So this is a documentary, right? That has won. So that's all in this topic, right? So that's all from my side for the day. Thank you so much everyone for attending today's discussion. I hope you have a good day ahead. Thank you.